I hope you saw yourself. The next guy, Dave, hang on. You know who put that together, or who's responsible?
Al Berger, that was his 8mm back in the day. And John Schwank called me about 4 or 5 years ago and said, I got something you need to see. And he put it on a DVD and sent it to me.
And the rest is history, right? Very. Folks, our first guest, many of you know him very well. He not only was the top scorer and the captain for the Spuds of 1963, he was also All Patoka Conference. He was all first team sectional, all first team regional. He was second team semi-state. He would go on and take his talents not only in basketball, but in baseball to Austin Peay. And now he heads a very successful company, a landscaping business down in Tampa, Florida. Would you please welcome home? He's delighted you're here. He'd like to tell you so personally, Dave Small. David?
Thank you, Mike. First of all, I want to say that the audio on that video was hard to hear. And that was actually recorded over that. I believe that interview with Coach and Red Kaish was in 1987 through WITZ, and that was an interview that they did. I think it was the 25th anniversary, so that's why that was done. But it was very hard to understand it over the PA system, but that's what that was all about. Now I want to thank all of you for coming, and I'd like to really thank. There's one guy here that we wouldn't be standing here today if it wasn't for one man who made a decision on a gut feeling. And I want to thank Jim Roos. Jim? Jim had a gut feeling about Pete Gill. And he and Levi decided they would take that chance and hire him, because a lot of people wouldn't have. But I'm very thankful they did. And then the next person I want to thank is someone who has put his heart and soul into that book, and that's Mike Roos. I don't think he can even calculate how many hours that he has put into that over the past 10 years, because it's that 10-year labor of love. And I feel like I've been through about half of it with him. But he did a great job. He hit a home run, no question. The other person I'd like to thank for taking his time out of his busy schedule to be here, and that's Dale Harris. Dale Harris is very recognizable in the basketball world, and also in other segments of life. He's recently written another book. Dale has written a lot of books. The one that is on the table back there is called On Point. I've read it. He gave me one down in Tampa back in May. And I'm very appreciative that he did, because it's a great book on how to become a better individual. The next thing that we're going to show here on the DVD is a friend of mine from French Lick, played at Springs Valley. He was a senior when I was a junior. We played against each other. And then the next year, I had to play his brother. We played his brother Jeff, and that's Jerry Reynolds. And Jerry went on to coach in the NBA for 20-some years. He's been in 28 years, I think he's been associated with the Sacramento Kings. But Jerry can be quite a hoot, and he's throwing a few barbs at me on this DVD. And I told him, I said, I won't criticize you in front of the Ireland fans, but I said, you're a good guy no matter what they say. But anyway, if Fred would go ahead and play that DVD. This is Jerry Reynolds, who also wrote a blurb on the book.
Well, hello. I guess the first thing I should do is introduce myself for those of you in Southern Indiana that maybe don't know me or remember me, not that you should. But my name is Jerry Reynolds. I'm currently an employee of the Sacramento Kings and have been for 28 years. I guess that's a little bit of perspective. The only person I know that's been in the NBA longer than that and had as many jobs as I've had, which is I've had a different job in his organization, would be Del Harris, another Hoosier. Del's had every job. We've got a couple things in common. Number one, we've had every job that you have in the NBA, and the difference would be that I've been with one team the entire time. Del's been with about 5 or 6. And then the second thing that would be a little different is he's been very successful. I we haven't been first. But anyway, so just a couple of thoughts. You might wonder what my ties might be to Ireland High School and the Ireland Spuds. There's several, actually. My senior year in high school, 1962, we were defeated by the Ireland Spuds, which I'm still bitter about, by the way. Ron Lunder hired the Spuds, but Ron and I later played together at Vincent University. And Ron obviously was maybe the best individual player to ever play Ireland. Could have been a star D1 player, no question. And then my younger brother Jeff, the very next year, at 63, was the recipient of the wrath of the Ireland Spuds as the Spuds went on to their miracle season and got to the Sweet 16. That was, of course, led by the terrific coach Pete Gill, Rangers he made best times, and of course guys like Dave Small and Bill Lentz and Pat Sheeter, really players who I got to know as years went by. I was fortunate enough to coach both Bill Lentz and Pat Sheeter for a while on the freshman team at Oklahoma City University, and really got to understand a little bit of how they did what they did because they were so very smart players, very team orientated, and kind of a wake-up call. And then, of course, the last few years, I've gotten to know Dave Small a good bit. And for those of you that have seen the book already and the cover, one thing you'll notice is you'll see Dave Small shooting a jump shot. It looks like from the angle that he's really flying, hanging in the air. It's probably about 12 inches off the ground. Just from reading the book and really written by a terrific talent, Mike Roos, I thought just really hit it between the eyes. Just a miracle kind of season. A group of young men who weren't expected to have the kind of year they had, and surprised, as I say, my brother's team, Jeff, in the sectional finals, and kind of a slowdown game, which is very good strategy by Coach Gill, and he went on to win the regional, and just one of those real miracle seasons, and I think kind of going along with that phase a little bit. One of the things that Dave Small told me, which was very insightful, which I know saying insightful and Dave Small in the same sentence really is very difficult to it did happen. But I think what he was talking about, we were talking about, the unusual circumstances for Indiana basketball at that time. During the 40s, 50s, and 60s, every little town maybe had their Ireland moment within a 10-year period or whatever, whether it's Odin or Holland or Springs Valley or Fort Branch or Highmere or Rockwell, wherever. You can point to those kinds of things happening and unique experiences. And then it was also a case where, NBA basketball wasn't on TV. Indiana University played on Monday nights. High school basketball was the only thing on Friday nights. There was no sports for women. Football didn't really count. A lot of you remember that, you had a mythical state championship in football. You play 9 games to declare a champion and then get on to the important stuff, like boys basketball. And it was just a remarkable time where all the focus of every little town was on their boys basketball team. Whether that was the healthiest thing or not, who knows. But I do know that it created a high school basketball tournament that was unlike any in the world, and by far the best in America, and which naturally led educators to feel like they had to improve it. Of course, screw it up, which they did. going back to that Miracle 63 season. It really is a book you need to read for a lot of reasons. I think not just for the Arlen Spuds and Dave Small and Joe Lentzes and Pat Sheepers and Coach Pete Hills. Certainly some great stories there. Mike Roos has captured them all, but really for all you Hoosier fans. And if you've ever grown up in Southern Indiana, been around Hoosier basketball, you'll never get over it. I'm still quite bitter about this, to be honest with you. One day he retired in the Orlando area, and of course I know Winston Small in Florida, and I said, when I retire from the Kings, we're going to play a little 2-on-2, as you call small nets. There'll be some Black Hawk kicking some studs, but okay? We do forgive, but we don't forget. Okay? Thank you.